Well, Merry Christmas. It's day 6 of our Galapagos trip, Christmas Day. And today we're off to Urbina Bay, home of some large land iguanas. Reaching the shore, the staff hold the panga in place against the incoming swells while we disembark. On the beach, we find many sea turtle tracks. We're told that most of these were from the previous 2 weeks when they were up laying their eggs. A broad sandy path takes us inland where we encounter several tortoises. And further along, we see 2 more tortoises along the trail. Their shells seem a little bit like a hybrid between a dome and a saddleback. One of the favorite food sources for these tortoises is the fruit of this tree, the manchineel or poison apple. It has a highly toxic sap. It's listed by the Guinness Book of Records as the world's most dangerous tree, the only tree that carves its initials into U. The seeds of this tree are quite large, roughly the size of the apple itself. The manchineel is native to the Galapagos, but not endemic. The seeds are lightweight and buoyant. The main dispersal method for the tree is via water. So this plant was probably established here from seeds that drifted from the South American mainland. As an interesting geologic side note, in 1954, Urbina Bay experienced an earthquake that resulted in a sudden uplift of the seabed by about 15 feet. And this linear feature we see here is probably a fault line that was associated with that event. Records indicate that as a result of this event, fishermen had found sharks and lobsters and fish that were left stranded on land, and over 4 miles of coastline was now pushed farther out by up to 3/4 of a mile. Other evidence of the uplift are these coral heads that were at one time submerged but are now high and dry, and also this fossil marine worm tube that we see here. The Galapagos land iguana we found here in Urbina Bay is one of 3 species of land iguanas that are endemic to the Galapagos Islands. The others being the Santa Fe land iguana, is found only on Santa Fe Island, and the Galapagos pink land iguana, which is nearly extinct with only about 200 left living on the slopes of Wolf Volcano. Despite their intimidating appearance, the iguanas are primarily herbivores. They eat predominantly prickly pear cactus, which is also where they get their water. As you can see, these guys live a pretty docile existence, not threatening in any way. By night, the iguanas sleep in burrows to conserve their absorbed body heat. Fergus accidentally stepped on top of a burrow which had collapsed and left this crater. So researchers believe that Galapagos land iguanas and marine iguanas evolved from a common ancestor since arriving on the islands from South America, presumably by rafting. Now, the marine iguana diverged from the land iguana some 8 million years ago, which is older than any of the existing Galapagos Islands. So how did that happen? So to discuss this, we need to talk about continental drift and plate tectonics. The Mid-Pacific Spreading Center, the white dashed line, is creating new oceanic crust, and Galapagos is part of the Pacific plate that is moving eastwards. Like the mid-ocean spreading center, the hot spots that are the source of the magma that has created all the volcanic islands of the Galapagos and Hawaii have their origin down in the Earth's core, and they remain mostly stationary over time. In the present day, the island of Fernandina is located over the Galapagos hotspot, but that wasn't always the case. If we go back 4 million years ago, it was the area that was to become San Cristobal Island that was located above the Galapagos hotspot. Then 1 million years later, or 3 million years ago, the motion of the oceanic plate has transported San Cristobal Island 35 miles to the east, and now the future site of Santa Fe Island is located over the hotspot and is forming its own separate volcanic cone. Now, in the present day, it's the island of Fernandina that's located over the hotspot, And meanwhile, San Cristobal has been continued to be transported and is now 140 miles east of its former position. So let's get back to the original question of where did the iguanas live 8 million years ago if the oldest island is only 4 million years old? Well, the answer is that 8 million years ago there were other islands, probably somewhere around here on the Pacific plate, but they also have been carried east over time and have been eroded. And although no longer visible on the surface, the bathymetric contours show them as seamounts rising above the ocean floor. In summary, then, 8 million years ago, there were islands produced by the Galapagos hotspot where land iguanas lived and roamed. But the Pacific plate, like a conveyor belt, carried those islands to the east, and over time they were worn away to become underwater mountains. But as the plate moved new oceanic crust over the hot spot, then new islands began to form, and up came the present-day Galapagos, and iguanas migrated over there. Okay, well, now that we've got the iguanas settled, let's continue our short walk around the bay. Here's a Galapagos carpenter bee. That's another endemic species to the archipelago. This is a Galapagos flycatcher. It's present on all of the islands and is also an endemic species. We spot one of the Galapagos hawks, which is a treat. There are less than 500 of these birds left. The primary prey for the hawk is the Galapagos lava lizards. They also eat other small reptiles and birds. The mayuyu bush, yellow cordia, easily identified by its bright yellow flowers, is also known as the glue bush. Its fruit has a fleshy pulp that becomes sticky on exposure to air. There's been some research actually as to whether the resin from these berries could be used as a plant-based adhesive and replace wood glues that contain formaldehyde. The juvenile Sally Lightfoot crabs have a dark coloration of their shell with spots, and that provides some good camouflage against the black lava rocks. These crabs are rumored to have been named after a Caribbean dancer due to their agility in jumping from rock to rock, also their ability to run in 4 directions and climbing up vertical slopes. The adult Sally Lightfoot crabs show this intense red and blue coloring on their shells with a white or pale blue underbelly. They feed on algae primarily, and although not considered very edible by humans, they are liked by octopus and morays. Well, I see you're yawning, so it must be time to end this video. Thanks for watching.